This is Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants, the show that helps HR experts build a predictable pipeline of premium paying clients without expensive ads, constant posting, or endless networking. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of The Complete Guide to Building a 70k HR Consultancy and creator of the Client Control Method, helping HR professionals grow with clarity, confidence, and control. Let's get into today's episode. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants with me, Nick Paninsky. Today, I want to go into something that I see repeatedly in the industry, something that frustrates talented HR consultants and quietly damages their confidence. It's this idea that if you just use LinkedIn more, or go to more networking events, or start a newsletter, or be visible, somehow the clients will start rolling in. And most HR consultants I speak to are working incredibly hard. They are not lazy. They are not hiding. They're showing up. They're posting. They're commenting. They're shaking hands. They're joining groups. They are trying everything. And yet the client flow still feels slow and unpredictable. 1 month is busy enough to make you think, finally, this is it, the next steep drop-off. It's not that they're doing nothing. Is that they're relying on activities that were never designed to create consistent lead and client flow. And that's what we're going to unpack today, not from a you're doing it wrong perspective, but from a nobody has ever taught you how these tools actually work perspective. Now let's start with LinkedIn, because if you're anything like the consultants I work with, this is your default home. It's where you go, it's where you look around and think, everyone else is doing well, why am I struggling? And LinkedIn is powerful. It's a place where people can find you. It's a platform where you can grow your credibility. You can showcase your personality, your expertise, your perspective. And yes, it absolutely can help you get clients. I use LinkedIn. It's my home base. It's where I get a lot of my clients. So I am not anti-LinkedIn in the slightest. If anything, it's the platform I'd recommend to most HR consultants over anything else. But, and this is the bit that most people misunderstand, LinkedIn only works when you know what you're doing. And the platform is far too crowded for the old post and pray approach. You know, those days of updating your LinkedIn profile saying that you're going self-employed and then dealing with all the inquiries, well, those days are gone. You know, the other HR consultants were first to the party. Nowadays, you need something different, right? And posting blindly on LinkedIn is not just unhelpful, it can actually damage your credibility. Because if you sound like every other HR consultant, if you're posting generic tips, generic reminders, generic updates, people skim past you. They don't remember you, they don't recognize you, and they don't distinguish you. You are a terraced house amongst the row of the other terraced houses. And that's the painful truth about LinkedIn. It can build your brand, but it can also completely flatten your brand if you blend in. It can be an absolute waste of your time. Most HR consultants don't know what content to create, who their content is for, what the content is supposed to lead to, why they're posting in the first place. So it becomes busy work dressed as marketing. And this is why so many consultants tell me, Nick, I'm posting every week, nothing is happening. The engagement is down. No one's engaging with my posts. It's not you. It's not your ability. It's simply that LinkedIn doesn't work as a lead gen tool unless you're extremely deliberate about how you use it. Now let's talk about what LinkedIn cannot do, because this is the bit that nobody really explains. LinkedIn cannot create demand out of thin air. It cannot take someone from I've never heard of you to here's $2,000 in a week. It can't nurture, it cannot warm people up properly. And it can't turn a cold stranger into a ready to buy client just because you're visible. It cannot replace a proper client pathway. And it certainly cannot generate consistent clients unless you know how to create the right content, connect with the right audience, have the right conversations and DM people and guide people towards that next step. And you need to know what that next step is. So let's be real for a minute. No 14-day video challenge is going to fix that. No post this template PDF will fix that. No social media manager churning out generic posts will fix that. LinkedIn only works when there's a strategy, a structure, an intention, and a clear audience. Otherwise, you are just shouting into a crowded room. Now, let me bring this to life for you. Let me tell you about a client I worked with recently. She started the call with a very straightforward, honest request. She said to me, I need help finding clients on LinkedIn. Now, that's fair enough, right? Lots of HR consultants say the same thing. So I asked her a simple question. Who do you want to work with? Who, if I said to you, right, today's Monday, by next Monday, I want you to have added 100 of those perfect fit prospects for your world, would you be able to do it? Well, of course you can't, right? She gave me a vague answer. And that's not her fault, right? I do want to emphasize. She just didn't, she thought that she knew who she wanted to speak to, but in reality, she didn't. That's why she joined the coaching call. That's why she was getting help. So I kept digging. And within 10 minutes, it became clear that the audience she really wanted to work with, they weren't even on LinkedIn. They weren't scrolling, they weren't posting, they weren't reading content, they weren't active, they were not there. And then she went quiet. And then she said, so what you're saying is I shouldn't even be on LinkedIn. And I said, well, that might be the case. If this is your audience, they aren't on LinkedIn. So the reality for her was that she had been putting pressure on a tool that was never going to get her clients, never going to get her leads. And that's a mistake that so many HR consultants make. It's not that LinkedIn is bad. It's that LinkedIn can't work if your audience isn't there, if your messaging isn't clear, if your offers aren't differentiated, if you don't know what the platform is meant to do for you. So the platform wasn't the problem, the thinking was. Now let's move on to networking, because networking is basically the in-person version of LinkedIn. And again, it's not bad. Networking can work. You can get clients from it. But let's tell the truth, right? Most HR consultants treat networking like they're collecting Pokemon cards. They meet someone nice, they have a good chat, they both say, let's keep in touch, they add each other on LinkedIn, you go home feeling productive. But then nothing. Not because the person wasn't a good fit, not because they didn't like you, but because networking has a fundamental flaw. It creates connection, but it does not create momentum. A nice chat doesn't turn into a client, a good vibe doesn't turn into a project, a business card doesn't turn into a retainer. And part of the reason is this: humans cannot manage that many relationships at once. You go networking, you meet 20 people, add them all to your LinkedIn, hope for the best. You do that again and again and again and again. Well, you can't manage that. Your brain isn't designed to remember all these people and deal with them all, which is why people then tell you to use a CRM, right? But a CRM is without structure. It's like giving you an electric drill when you've never built anything in your life. You know what the drill should do. You've seen people use it confidently. But if you try to use it without knowing how, you will just end up with holes in all the wrong places and a very wonky shelf. LinkedIn is the same. It's a tool, not a strategy. And without knowing how to follow up, build momentum, guide the relationship, qualify the person, move them along a buyer journey, networking becomes endless conversations that go nowhere, which is why so many consultants tell me I've met loads of people, but none of them became clients. It's not the networking, it's the lack of structure behind it. The final tool that I want to talk about that HR consultants use to build clients, get clients, build leads, is a newsletter. Because this is the tool that, in my opinion, HR consultants underuse the most. And they misuse it if they do use it. Now, most HR consultants think having an email list means writing a monthly blog and sending it out with a title like HR Update, November edition. And they wonder why nobody reads it, nobody replies, nobody remembers them, nobody buys anything. Email works beautifully when you use it properly. There's a often reported statistic. You get $40 for every dollar invested in it. So the return on investment is incredible. I love my email list. Honestly, if you took away all of my infrastructure, my podcast, my LinkedIn, my website, my email list, and you said I could only have one thing back, I would want it to be my email list. I value it so much. It is it's basically a list of people who want to hear from me, and that's amazing because LinkedIn is yeah, I've connected with these people, but they're not going to necessarily see all my messages. Whereas my email open rate is about 40%, right? So if I've got 40% of the people reading my emails, that's 40% of the people connecting with me. They reply to my emails and say hello. They buy a copy of my book. They buy invest in one-to-ones with me. It generates cash out of thin air, basically. So email works beautifully when you use it properly, but most HR consultants are not doing that. And I want to be honest with you, I've just talked about all the benefits there, but it is the one place that you control. It's the one channel where nobody's fighting with you for attention. It's the one place you can build real intimacy and trust. Like, people don't just give their email addresses away willy-nilly anymore. It's, we've all got too many emails, too much spam. So we're a bit more protective of it these days. So if all you're sending is a blog once a month, you're not building a relationship. You're just maintaining a distant acquaintance. And it's nothing wrong with sending a blog once a month, right? I do send out promotion for this podcast, but I also send out emails twice a week, which build an actual relationship with people, right? So email is the most consistent client generating channel you could possibly have if you use it consistently and with purpose. Again, the issue isn't the tool. It's not the fact that email marketing doesn't work. It's about how the tool is used. So let me tie all this together. LinkedIn is not a system. Networking is not a system. Your newsletter is not a system. Posting is not a system. Visibility is not a system. These things are all useful, but none of them have the job of warming someone up, building desire, creating demand, guiding the buyer, maintaining momentum, blah, 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 converting strangers into clients. The number one job of marketing. They're pieces, they are tools, they support a system, but they cannot be the system. And that's where HR consultants get stuck. Not because they're bad at HR, not because they're incompetent, not because they're not trying, but because they're relying on tools that, by design, are sporadic, crowded, and incapable of turning awareness into readiness. And once you understand this, everything becomes calmer, clearer, and easier. So if you're listening along to this and you're thinking, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. This is exactly what I'm doing. I'm using all of these tools, but none of them lead anywhere. Then you need to hear this. There is a better way of doing things. A calmer, clearer, more structured way to get clients without relying on luck, referrals, or constant posting. I'm going to walk you through it on my free event on December 2nd. So if you want a better way of doing things, come along to the event. You'll discover the solutions and a whole lot more. Seats are limited. And if you want to upgrade to make sure that you get the replays, because this event is going to be insanely good, then make sure to get the VIP or the super VIP if you want a one-to-one with me. Either way, seats are limited, so act fast if you want to secure your spot. The link is in the show notes. So hopefully this episode has been useful for you to help you realize that you have a lack of systems. It's not the tools that you're using, it's the fact that there is no client pathway. There is no way of turning random strangers into clients consistently, repeatedly, and frequently. And if you want the solution, come along to the free event on December 2nd. Anyway, hopefully this episode was useful for you. Please do feel free to share it with anyone you may think would find it useful. And as ever, get marketing. Because without marketing, there's no sales. And without sales, there's no business. So get marketing. Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a minute to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes if you haven't done so already. I've been your host, Nick Kaminsky, and if you've got any questions or you want to know more about today's topic, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time.